Hello! This is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Sweet Strong Woman. And Sweet Strong Woman would like me to speak to the subject of spontaneity, and specifically how spontaneity can be helpful in magical practice, and perhaps some examples of how spontaneity has helped me in my own magical practice. And indeed, I am a great believer in spontaneity. I'm also a great believer in critical thinking. I am very strong on the idea that you must never be bound by your ideas. You can be informed by them, you can be guided by them, but you should not be bound by them. And the support for spontaneity is entirely wrapped up in that point of view. Spontaneity is what allows us to find new solutions to problems. Spontaneity is what allows us to discover new ways of doing things. And if we have no spontaneity, then we'll never learn anything new. And I'm a great believer in pushing those frontiers of magical practice and everything else back as far as we can get them, in expanding our knowledge, not merely transmitting it, and in becoming more and more the vessels of spirit that we are meant to be by learning more and more about how to bring spirit into the world. So, to me, spontaneity is a good thing. Now, I will say that it can be more useful in some contexts than others, and will be more serviceable to some people than others, because, like everything else, it depends upon the individual what is going to work best for them. But I think that a certain amount of spontaneity is good for everyone. And I'm a great believer in simply walking into ritual and doing it in an extemporaneous manner when circumstances permit, which is the most spontaneous way of doing it imaginable, and I found it to be extremely rewarding. So I am a great believer in spontaneity, but one of the things that I want to address in this question, which I think is the same issue, but it's the issue of taking chances. And one of the things I've done many times in my career is take chances and depart from established ways of doing things in order to find better ways of doing things, in order to address situations that needed addressing. When you see a problem, it is not really good to just keep doing the same thing that's caused the problem. You want to find ways to solve that problem and to move beyond it. And that really is what the idea of spontaneity ultimately is about, and why I think we have it. It's a matter of problem solving. And you can't really problem solve if you can't be at all spontaneous. You can only just keep repeating the things you've done before. And you know what they say about the definition of insanity is doing exactly the same thing and thinking it will have a different outcome. So when we approach the problems that we might experience in our magical practice, in our practical lives, or in our metaphysical community, we have to have a certain amount of spontaneity in how we look at these and how we try to resolve them, or we're not going to get anywhere. We have to be able to approach them in new and different ways when old ways have not been successful. Now, of course, when the old ways have been successful, that's a whole other matter. But when they've not been successful, then we have to be able to try new things. And if we can't try those new things, again, we're not going to get anywhere. So I think that spontaneity is very important and very desirable. The ability to take chances, the ability to try new things is very important and very desirable. And a perfect example of taking chances and departing from established ways of doing things is the witch school. And when we started the witch school, we saw a need in the community because there are many, many people who wanted teaching, they wanted to learn, they wanted to find ways of becoming more spiritual, more magical, but they could not find teachers in the real-time community. There weren't enough, there was not access, and most commonly they weren't open enough for the students to find them when they did exist. Many of the people who first came to the school were geographically isolated. They were in places where there was no local community. Or, again, that local community was so closeted they could not find it. And we sought to answer that need. And we were rewarded very well in terms of being able to help people and in terms of people's gratitude for doing that. But if we had not been willing to adapt a new platform and adapt new ways of doing things, we know that hole would have simply remained. And because we were willing to take that chance, many wonderful people came to us. And I am very grateful for all of those people. And I would not change anything in what we did. But there were all kinds of people who thought the world was going to end because someone is doing something different. And if you have any question of whether this was a successful thing to do, you need only look at how many online schools there are today. And the school itself is only one of many examples of occasions when we have chosen to do things in new and different ways that turned out to work really well. So I would strongly endorse spontaneity and taking chances and trying to do things in new and different ways. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from witchschool.com. Are you looking for the best in pagan and magical education? With more than 12,000 pages, witchschool.com is like having your own personal library with individual learning assistants to help you study. And Witchschool's Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere education system is available any place on Earth, anywhere you are and anytime you want it, as long as you have an internet connection. Witchschool's lifetime memberships are a great value. They really do last a lifetime. They've been there for years and they'll be there for years to come. So get your membership today at witchschool.com.